You don't think I'm going to end this first part without running it with the proper cover on, did you? Thanks for watching. Well, here I'm freeing up the steering. When I took it apart, I found out the steering was frozen. So just another job to do. But I got it down to a science, folks. Heat the hell out of this area. Remove the spring. Heat the hell out of the area up here. I use one of these plastic sledges. And also a combination of a bar and a Stilson wrench down here, down on the bottom, and I put a bolt in it here. So when I pound this up, it doesn't distort the aluminum, so you can't get the bolt back in or even crack it. So it keeps its shape. But the plastic sledge is the key in a lot of heat. So it's almost out. I moved it about an inch. So, well, let's see what it is. It moved about inch and a half. So let's continue. That's it. I did most of the pounding off camera. Took quite a few hits, probably about 20 hits before it started to move. But you got to really use the heat. And there's also a plastic collar down here. You got to take it out. There's also an O-ring, which I'm going to take out now. It helps. But one less thing to do. So we're after about an hour. Nice free steering. It's not a fun job, but I've done it so many times. So I'm not intimidated by it anymore. But I still don't like doing it. Most people don't. Folks, both the clamps are being drilled out. 5/8 11 tap. I forgot what the drill size is. 17, 30 seconds or something. But anyway, I pilot drill it with a 1/4 inch. Then I drill it with a 1/2 inch drill. And then I drill with a final drill. This is side 2. Yeah, it was 17, 30 seconds. 5/8 11 tap. 1/4 inch drill first. 1/2 inch drill, I think. And then the 17, 30 seconds. This way it's nice on center. And very easy to tap out and still have all the threads like the original threaded hole. Another one of my favorite jobs. So here I'm taking the bolts out, take the power head out, power head off. And believe it or not, I only broke one screw. So hopefully I can get it separated without too much crazy prying. This is a screwdriver I use to get them screws out with a small open end wrench and a lot of heat. And just that one broke. The other ones came out relatively easy, which I was surprised. But moving along, I want to get the power head off so I can fix the mounts. The pan mounts, easy to fix when the power head's off. Well, here I just got done pulling the power head off. That one broken bolt can wreak havoc. So if you break more than one bolt off, you're in for sometimes a pain in the neck to get these things off. But this particular case, I had one bolt broken off. So I get 2 thin bladed screwdrivers and carefully pry in between where the block meets. You know, probably a couple inches on either side of the broken stud. This way it has room to give. So probably around here and here I started. Very carefully to make sure that I was in between the blocks and the midsection and not just chiseling into the block or, you know, prying into the block. But I got it off. So once I took that off, there was no power head gasket. Amazing that it didn't leak. At least to my eyes, running it, it had silicone for a power head gasket. Didn't seem to leak. But now I got it all apart. I can fix the mounts, you know, all the broken mounts, Much easier to fix this way. So I just learned from trial and error. It's the best way. But the most important thing is spend the time with a lot of heat and try to get all the screws out. You don't have to do any prying or breaking any screws. Luckily, I only broke one. So now I'm just going to clean everything up and start putting this all back together. Another little tip. Lacquer thinner and some Meguiar's compound. Takes all that cheap Tempo spray paint that somebody sprayed on it years ago. Most times the paint's pretty good on it, especially this area of the pans underneath. So that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to just strip all these lacquer touch-up paint that somebody did years ago. So actually preserve the paint. But I do this many times, you know, it's one of my popular tips. I figure I'd show you a little section how easy it is to do. Original 1968 ebony enamel. So lacquer thinner will not affect it, at least it shouldn't. And then you take the Meguiar's, polish on top of it, either by hand or with a machine, whatever you want to use, foam rubber, one of those foam rubber adapters for a machine. Till it's squeaky clean. I'll do that to the whole pan. I'm not going to repaint it now. I was, but it looks good. Try a little spot on the midsection too. I get a strange satisfaction, good feeling from doing this. I don't know why. A lot of times people just repaint them and they're not really that bad. A couple scratches here and there, they go crazy. They buy the touch-up paint, which is lacquer, which is totally not durable. Just a waste. But that's the way it is. It is what it is. Presentable. It took me not even 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just quickly lacquer thinner and Meguiar's polish. Just did it by hand real quick. Put some wax on it if you want. Easy peasy. Put the whole motor together, it'll look like $1 million. I had to put a torch through the bottom on both of these to get them off. Everything around here is in salt water, so every screw could be a nightmare. That's why I don't like to break them. They use a lot of heat. Between dissimilar metal corrosion, which you get with steel and aluminum, and the salt water, it just makes it, everything is a nightmare sometimes. Sometimes you get very lucky and the parts come apart. But that's the hardest part, is taking these things apart because of salt water. But you can't really do this without pulling the Powerhead off. Just to change that little bracket for the cable. So I'm going to proceed in doing that. I already took the broken gear shift handle off. I'm going to put that on, and then I'll get back to you and show you once I do that. Gotta love it, folks. Bringing this guy back, starting to look like a motor again. It's amazing when you take the paint off how it changes its whole appearance. Stay tuned. I'm getting ready to pull the low unit apart. It ends up turning about 3/4 of a turn. So I took the 2 plugs out and the gasket's dry as a bone in there. But at least it turns partially. So now I'm going to disassemble. I'm going to pull the skeg off and take it from there. First of the repairs. Well, after a little over an hour pulling this apart, I could see why they actually junked the motor 30 years ago. because it's been in storage for 30 years in my possession. And at least that's why the Powerhead's good. It's just had no oil in it, and it was all full of muck from salt water. So I'm going to disassemble this whole thing. I mean, I could just throw another low unit on there, but that's not what I do. That's too easy. I'm going to inspect the clutch dog and the gears, change the seals, and work it from there. I'm done the gear case. Got it all taken apart, cleaned up. Somebody installed the prop shaft seal backwards, so that could have been the culprit with the water from years ago, ruining the motor. Now I took the drive shaft seal out. That's how I pretty much destroy them when I take them out. And I got the seal ready to put in. Put a little sealant around it. I clean out the hole really good. And I also put a new O-ring with the shift bushing. I have the OMC tools to knock them in and out. I just don't. I bought them years ago. I just got tired of, knocking them out and destroying them, taking them apart. This way everything comes out nice and easy and you put them right back in. So there's a washer, kind of a fiber washer that goes down first on this particular model, and the O-ring fits inside here, inside there. I'm pretty sure it was the prop shaft seal. A little bit more. It's a little bit high. You want it all the way flush. There you go. I'm pretty sure this was the culprit that destroyed the motor over 30 years ago when they scrapped it. Probably water was just coming in. Even with a new seal, they're not designed to work that way. So I'm going to put a new seal in here. I have to order one. I don't have it. And now I'm going to get ready to put the drive shaft seal in. So I just use pretty much the socket, almost the diameter of the seal itself. And just knock it in. Usually going a lot easier than that. I kind of destroyed this one a little bit. Pitch. Well, I got it out. Another first for me after working on these motors going back to the 1960s. The seal, being that it was installed upside down, made it twice as hard for me to get out. Again, I don't have the proper seal pullers. I mean, especially on the top here, when it's put in upside down, there's no flange. Sometimes you can just drill small holes, put a couple of screws in there, and pull it out that way. But I just end up using a combination of chisels and special tools I use. This is handy for getting seals out. I have another screwdriver I made here I use. And then a small thin-bladed screwdriver. And this tool is really handy too. A punch, center punch that I put down to a point where you can really, lean into it, in between without damaging the wall of the casting. You can kind of push it in that way. I tried getting there with a Dremel with a rotary file. It just was clumsy, so. But it took me, 20 minutes. I got it out. And I have to order a new seal. We put the new 312284, I believe is the number. 313284? Well, one or the other. Because I don't have any particular seal for that prop shaft housing. So, that's that. I just wanted to show you, I did do a little creative support. So when I tighten these jaws up, I don't put this housing out around. Just hold it snug with this lip below the bottom of my vise and support it with the socket and a washer and a couple steel blocks. So, it just takes a little creative thinking, because you really can't tighten the vise too tight. It'll just distort, either ruin the casting or it just won't hold. And you'll put all kinds of marks in it if you don't have jaw protectors. But just another thing I've learned from being in a machine shop for many years on my job. Here I'm going to put the new prop shaft seal in. I clean this out the best I can. I put a little sealant on the outer portion of the seal just in case there's any defects in the aluminum casting. So it's just something I do for insurance, but you know, any kind of sealant is really good. Permatex, gel seal, whatever you got. Better than nothing. And with these, I use the vise. Just the easy way to do it. Well, once I get it flushed, I'll tap it in the rest of the way. The seal was 313284. I bought 5 of them. And the rest of the way, I just take a socket. And I made a mistake when I was putting the drive shaft seal in a little bit, but I think I lucked out on it towards the end. Just want to make sure the socket's close to the right size of the diameter of the seal. So I'm going to tap it down just a little bit more. That should be good, just about there. And I checked the gears and all the parts. Everything cleaned up really good, despite all that muck that was all over these pieces. I'm going to change the clutch dog. The clutch dog was, had its typical wear in the corners. And I found one which is just about brand new. And the gears look good. The pinion gear is good. The spacer, everything cleaned up. I did have to break the original fork off. It was corroded to the cradle, to the clutch dog. But I have another one. And I'm going to put this all together. I already did the drive shaft seal. Now I got the prop shaft seal done. I did the shift bushing. And now I'm going to put the gear case together. Here's some things I've done on the repairs already. I got the new bracket installed with the twist grip. I changed over, put the ever new grip on it. Just going to clean it up later when I'm done. Make it nice and white again. But I got the pan. I repaired the 4 Lord mounts. I developed a way of repairing these because these particular mounts, if you buy them online used, eBay, they're like $15 a piece. MarineEngine.com sells them for $43 a piece. And I'm not paying $160 for 4 mounts. So about a week ago, I developed a way to repair them, and I'll show you that in an upcoming video. But I got all the mounts repaired. The gear shifter. What I actually did with the gear shifter, and I lost the footage for that too, I took the handle off, disconnected the rod on the inside, and I hooked up a 1/2-inch truck drill with this off just to the shaft and spun it. Now I had movement on it, so I knew it would free up, but a lot of times you got to bang them from the inside, or I've even drilled holes in the midsection when the pan is off, put oil down in there. But this time I just put the drill on the end there and just unscrewed it right off. And I could not pull it out with my hands, but the drill did the trick. So that's one way to get these off if they're stuck. Just put a big drill on it. As long as it turns. If it's stuck solid, don't do it. You break your arm off. One of those big high torque drills. But I got all this done. Now I'm going to go back in the shop and take it from there. So here I'm putting the new pump back together. I got the plate all cleaned up. The pin that drove this impeller was broke and barely sticking out of the drive shaft here. So I replaced the pin that drives the new impeller. Even as this one is bent from being at housing for 30 years and not being used, it's still pumped water almost like new. The old impellers are very hardy. As much as this, you can see how much it's worn here. It still pumps fantastically. The housing's in pretty good shape. There's very little corrosion inside it. Pitting anyway. And I'm going to put it back together. And then I'm going to put the gears back together below. So here I'm getting ready to close the gear case. As you can see, it cleaned up really nice. All the original parts, except for the O-ring, the prop shaft seal, and I did change the clutch dog and the aluminum cradle. Everything else is original. Cleaned up really nice from that muck you saw in the previous clips. What I basically do is I put a new spaghetti seal in there. I use some Permatex. I let it tack up for a few minutes, and then I close it up. And basically that's it. I'll put the 6 screws in. Then I'll set the pin in here with a little seal on the rubber on the stainless pin that holds the clutch fork. And you're ready to put the gear case up. The water pump's already done. Well, here I just want to give a shout out to Albert Hafner, 2194. He left a comment in my comment section. Cam plate and the rod was original to 1967-68 only. I did not know that. I thought they were the same plates. So you learn something new every day. Again, thanks Albert Hafner, 2194. I just got done putting it back to original. So it was explained basically as a timing advance, fuel economy kind of engineering idea. So you pretty much use just spark advance to almost 3/4 throttle. Then the last inch or so, 1.25 inches is full throttle. So it was an economy idea that Evinrude came out with. Then in '69 they did away with it anyway. So I guess it wasn't that great of an idea. Cleaned up the pan as best I could. A little sanding, picking out some of the junk and all the little nooks and crannies. I spent maybe 20 minutes on it, trying to clean up without sandblasting it. And I primed it with self-etching primer. And now I'm going to give it a quick coat of paint just to make the pan look a little bit decent inside. You know the old saying, nothing like a fresh coat of paint. Again, this is the Yamaha Blue Metallic. Back in '67, '68, they changed colors from, I don't know when it was, late 50s, the polychromatic. I think they called it Mist Blue. I couldn't find it online anywhere. I had to clean the tip. Tip got clogged. Turn it upside down, and just aired it out. I'll let it tack up and I'll give it a second coat. Well, I got the pan all painted, back on. I'm ready to put the power head on. Power head off. Power head on. It actually just fell in place. Sometimes you got to rotate the flywheel to line up the crank to the drive shaft. But now I just got to put all the external parts back on there and take it to the next step.